Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Carmel Asha and today's topic is going to be about policing. If you saw my last video, you saw I had a lot to say about Rayshard Brooks and that whole situation. And I basically I covered quite a bit of how I felt about the things that are going on right now in our country, in our world. As far as racial inequality, police brutality, and things of that nature. And I kind of just wanted to keep that conversation going. So today I will be talking about policing and my personal views and thoughts about policing and how I feel it should change. And then this is also a get ready with me, guys. So not only am I going to be talking about policing, but I'm going to be doing my makeup at the same time. So you'll get to see how I achieved this look. All right. So stay tuned, watch, and I hope you enjoy. All right. Bye. Hey everybody, this is Carmel Asha. Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you for being here. So today I decided that I was going to do a chit chat video so that I can kind of merge a couple worlds together here, which is talk about some real shit and actually do my makeup. So that's what I'm gonna do. And to be honest with you, doing my makeup is very therapeutic for me. So no better time than now. I don't know if you guys watch the news like crazy the way that I do. Sorry, let me go get my mirror. But did you guys hear that the cop that shot Rayshard Brooks has been charged a felony murder charge? And I believe that's included. It's 11 charges in total. And I guess I'm surprised at the amount of charges. I had a feeling it would be something because, again, based on my other video, if you watched it, I clearly felt that that cop was wrong for how he handled that situation. And the cop's behavior overall was just reckless, if you ask me, and hasty. Even though a physical altercation did break out between the two of them, at the end of the day, it shouldn't have resulted in a man getting shot in the back 2 times, right? And the funny thing is, when I would watch the footage, I was like, there's a line of cars that was in the drive-thru still waiting to get their food. And I was like, not only was it just a poor judgment to shoot a man that's running away, but poor judgment to shoot at a man when you have an audience, number one. That, to me, that takes a lot of audacity to pull out a weapon and shoot somebody knowing that you're in the wrong to begin with. But hey, I can't speak for what goes through a cop's mind. But then you pull out your gun and you shoot this man while he's running when there are other people that could possibly get hit with a stray bullet. And guess what? One of those bullets went into somebody's car. So yeah, reckless as hell. So yeah, he's been charged. There's like a mix of stories going around. On the story that I saw earlier, they said that the second cop in the situation had agreed to be a witness of some sort. Hold on, I think I had wrote it down. He agreed to be, a state witness. But then, an hour or so later, while I'm still watching the news, they're like, oh, actually, he's not. So I find that to be kind of like, So yeah, it's been an interesting day on the news for sure. I feel bad for his widow because she had to sit in the courtroom to find out that her husband was kicked while he was bleeding out and dying. The officer that shot him actually kicked him while he was bleeding out. And it's funny to me because it's like people, they forget like everyone has a phone nowadays. So you basically saying that how you feared for your life and stuff like that, it flies right out the window once people look at video footage and they be like, really? But you kicked the man that was bleeding and basically dying. It's just crazy. But it's a lot of stuff that actually came out today, which I found very interesting. But yeah, his widow, she had to, you know, hear all of that and see the video footage. And it's just really awful. Seriously. I don't even know how else I would describe that. But yeah, we finna see how it plays out. In my previous video, I basically said my piece on the situation and was saying that I felt like all that had something negative to say about what they felt he should have did or could have did in that situation. To me, it was just pointless. You know, it was just pointless to even bring to bring that up, really. And again, you know, I just don't like to do victim blaming, especially in a situation where the other party was clearly wrong. Then it's not even a point in bringing up what the victim did. Like if a woman is raped by someone, it's dead wrong to say, well, look what she was wearing. Look how she was behaving. And that, no. You know, if someone has been assaulted, mistreated, victimized, it's never the right thing to basically start picking apart what that person could have done differently. I just don't really like that. Now, again, I'm not saying that, you know, yes, there is this thing called personal accountability and responsibility for one's actions. And every action has a consequence. But nonetheless, I feel if a person has been victimized, or especially if that person is dead, we should just have some respect. And in particular, at this time where things are already just like such high tension, I really don't want to go on and on and on harping about Rayshard Brooks and his case. But hopefully his family will get some justice. That's another family who is going through a loss. And, you know, it's really sad, to be honest with you. It really, really is. And right before Father's Day. So my heart and my prayers goes out to Rayshard Brooks' family. And I hope that that family can find some healing in time. I'm hoping that that cop that did that gets what he deserves. And that's just that. Again, I don't really consider myself to be a person that hates cops or stuff like that. But at the same time, do I have that same anger in me like everybody else when you hear the same shit over and over and over again about, you know, police abusing their power and them just exceeding what they should do, constantly. And it's hard to show support to that organization right now, when they keep getting caught up in the same shit. Like I said, I was watching the news earlier, and they were saying that a lot of the cops are resigning from their departments. They're not feeling supported. They're not feeling the love. As you can see, it takes a little bit of concentration. I felt like I couldn't really speak in that moment. But yeah, they're not feeling the love or whatever. They're not feeling supported. And there's a part of me that really wants to be empathetic towards police. It's just hard. It's hard right now. Because so many of them have been so shitty to how they treat people of color. And let me not even do that people of color thing, because let's just call a spade a spade. Because people of color, that can mean Asian folk, that can mean Latinos, but let's just call a spade, right? They can be pretty fucked up to black people. And listen, we got 401 years of proof of that. Conversation that I was talking about earlier with the police. There's a part of me that wants to be able to relate to how police may be feeling at this time, the good ones. But unfortunately, the bad ones are just taking up so much of the media space right now. It just makes you just pissed. It just makes you just so angry at police as a whole. I would never say that a group of people or organization is all bad. That's kind of the same thing as as black people, we don't want white people to put us all in a bunch and be like all black people are bad, or all Spanish people are bad, all Asians are bad, all Mexicans are bad, whatever the group may be. So I also don't want to be guilty of doing that same thing when it comes to police. But damn, they just make it so hard, I tell you. So I always bring my foundation down. They make it so hard though when they keep doing the same shit over and over, to empathize with them and to feel, because like I said, I was watching the news earlier, and I don't know who it was, but he was like, the police have low morale. A lot of them are resigning. They're feeling like, they're not feeling supported, and this, that, and the third. And I looked at the TV and was like, I kind of rolled my eyes. But at the same time, I get what he was saying. They are humans too. But they just really need to get their shit together. And that's truly the bottom line. They need to get their shit together. I want to understand what it feels like to be a police officer. I get that it's a hard job, and that there are times when they actually are faced with, a real threat and hardened criminals. But the problem is that when you start treating everybody that you come into contact with, and let me be frank, not even everybody, but every brown and black body that you come into contact with, like they are your enemy, that is a problem. That is a problem. And that's why we're calling it systemic. That is, it is a systemic issue. And there are a lot, in politicians, as well as people in the police who don't even want to admit that it's a systemic issue. And that in itself is very annoying. If people or organization have a problem, and that organization can't even admit that they have a problem, that's the problem right there. That's the problem right there. The inability to even admit that there's a problem. I just watched this documentary the other day. What was it called? Let it fall, let it fall, or let it burn, something like that. LA. This documentary came out in 2017, but it covered a 10-year gap between 1982 and 1992, and basically was talking about all of the, you know, police brutality that was going on in Los Angeles. I'll just put it this way: by the end of the movie, it was just insane. It was chaos, and it was right after the Rodney King beating. Mind you, when it happened, I was very young. I think it happened? Yeah, I think it did happen in 92. I was only 8. So I wasn't old enough to really remember. But at the same time, of course, if you hear the name Rodney King, you know that it has something to do with police brutality, like, you know. But again, I just wasn't old enough at that time to really be able to absorb it and take it in what had happened. But I watched it the other night, and they beat the pure shit out of that man. Let me just tell you. And just like today, all it was a traffic. It started off as a traffic stop. There is no need to beat the shit out of somebody for a traffic stop. You know, I mean, really. You ask for their license. You inform the person what the issue was. Were they speeding? You know, do they got a headlight out? You know, it should be very simple shit. It shouldn't turn into a full-on beating, but it did. It was a full-on beating, and it was crazy. I'm telling you, I was watching the documentary and I was getting so angry. And it wasn't just that scene of them beating Rodney King, but it was just some of the stuff that they were saying. Like they even went as far back as to explain how the chokehold came about. And not only how it came about, but they knew even then that there was big issues with the chokehold. Now they claim that, you know, while they were training and teaching police officers how to do the chokehold, it never got deadly. No one died in training. But they used the chokehold, you know, on black and brown people that they come into contact with, and it was killing us. And the police chief at the time said something so ignorant, like, oh, well, the chokehold is killing them because, like, they're not normal, or their veins aren't normal, or some crazy shit. And I was like, what? So yeah, that had me kind of hot. No, not kind of, but I was pretty hot. So you mean to tell me that even back then they knew the chokehold was a problem, and yet today in 2020 we are still having conversation about the fucking chokehold? Excuse my language, but those who know me know I get raw, and it's like, bro, like, y'all knew back then that it was a problem, and so we shouldn't still be using it now. But anyway, if you are the type of person that watches the news like I do, part of this police reform bill that Trump just signed the other day, he looked so proud when he was doing it too, like he really did something. But part of what's in that police reform bill is a ban on chokeholds. But the issue is that it wasn't mandated that police no longer use chokeholds. It was more so like, your police department will get more funding if you choose not to use chokeholds. It's more of like a incentive. And I feel like you shouldn't have to incentivize good behavior. What are we, 5 years old? Like, we incentivize children. You know what I'm saying? Like, when we want them to do their chores, or we want them to behave in school, we say, hey, if you have a good day at school, you can get some candy when you get home. You can have that cookie that you want. But these are grown adults. These are people who know better. And I don't feel like you should have to incentivize good behavior. That's crazy to me. So, of course, I'm more for the Democratic police reform bill, because then these reforms will be mandated, meaning we will be not asking or recommending or suggesting that they behave humanely. Force them to behave humanely and say, look, no more chokeholds, period, or your job is going to be on the line, or you're going to lose your job. And I'm sorry, but it's gotten to the point where that's where I feel like it has to be. Certain rules and whatever need to be just like on the books, as like, you do not do this, and if you do this, this is what's going to happen. It has to be consequences. Part of the problem why they've been getting away literally with murder for all these years is because there's all these loopholes. There is something called qualified immunity. If you guys haven't done your research on that, I would look it up. It's good to know. But qualified immunity is basically what protects police officers from being sued. It basically is what's been protecting them from being held accountable for the crimes that they commit. And it's crazy to me because all it did was allow police to be above the law. So if the rest of us commit a crime, the rest of us commit murder, we already know we going to jail. we don't even need video footage of us killing somebody. If there's just a witness that said, yo, I'm telling you she killed them, or I'm telling you he did it, look, we go to jail. We know it's pretty much a guarantee we're going to jail. But with police, they have made it so difficult for them to be held accountable for the crimes that they commit. It's a big problem. It's a really, really big problem. So qualified immunity, yeah, that needs to go. You know, like I said, I really just, I don't know, I wanted to take this time just to talk about policing, because the other day I talked about Rayshard Brooks, and I was like, you know what, I want to just talk about policing in general and just my thoughts on policing. You know, police definitely do need to be demilitarized. It's like, I had no idea that the budget for police were like in the hundreds of millions and into the $1 billion range. It's like, why do they need that much equipment? Why is their budget that huge? Please explain to me why. And then our poor people in the medical field don't have the mask and the amount of hospital beds and ventilators and the things that they need. Yeah, how about you take that huge ass budget that you give into the cops and pass it right on along to the medical professionals who are putting their lives at risk while helping people who have contracted COVID-19. How about that? That's an idea. But you know, that idea has been floating around too about defunding the police. To be honest with you, if you really want to know where I stand on the situation, I am a abolish the police type girl. I'm just gonna call it what it is. I kind of like get a little frustrated because when I watch the news sometimes and they're like, oh, the people who want to abolish the police, it's an aggressive move and it's very, you know, it's really out there. But you know, and Trump made it seem like, you know, people who want to abolish the police don't want law and order, because mind you, he's our law and order president, right? He is our law and order president who said that the police had to dominate the battle space. The battle space. He's talking about American cities, and called peaceful protesters terrorists. But this is out of this man's mouth, who, you know, everything he says is just. So anyway, but he was basically made it seem like, oh, well, the people who want to abolish the police, they, you know, they're against law and order. No, I'm not against law and order. Not at all. Not at all. But what I do feel is that the current policing system is broken. It stinks. Something is very much wrong with it at the core, at the depth of it. And defunding them right now, I don't know if that's going to fully fix the problem. Even police reform, I'm not sure is going to fully fix the problem because it's so bad. But I feel like communities at least need to be given the opportunity to police themselves. And what I mean by that is, you know, volunteers who can respond to certain kinds of calls and things like that. Of course, we're still going to need some armed individuals who can handle real crimes, bad crimes. But at this point, we have the police literally going to solve every possible problem, and they're just not equipped to handle every problem, because as we see, they're not very good at de-escalating, but in fact they escalate. Almost every situation they escalate. So that's a problem. Anyway, I'm gonna go and do my highlighter and all that, because I know I'm talking, but I really want to finish this makeup too. Hey everybody, so this video is a little longer than I expected. So what I want to do so that you guys can see everything is that I am going to make this video a part 1, and I will be doing a part 2 as well. So please feel free to like this video, subscribe, comment down below if you have anything to say based off of what I've said so far. But I do recommend that you check back in for part 2. Bye guys.